back, everybody. We are working on a Troy-built 21-inch 550EX. It was dropped off. Person didn't know much about them. There's another one over here, and it's a yard machine. It's also a 21, but this one's a 550E. But they were both dropped off. Starting on the 550EX first, Troy built. And like I said, he didn't know anything about them, and wanted me to go through and make sure they're ready to go. So that's what I'm going to do. Sorry about that, guys. Just trying to find a good spot for you to sit. One of the things I do notice is it didn't look like much fuel was in here. It looked like it might have been something else. I also know there's a milky substance right here in the carburetor. So I'm thinking there might be water and fuel being mixed. So I'm just going to go ahead and drain it before I even put fuel in it and try to even start it. So get ready to undo the fuel line here. I already pulled the filter housing off. Get that out of the way. And, this is a plastic carb. And these plastic carbs, they seem to be doing better than the old plastic carbs. Nice thing about this plastic carb here, it has a drain on the bottom of it. And just give that like a quarter turn and it pops out. You need an Allen wrench to do that. I can't remember what size. I'd have to get the carb off there to tell you. But we're also going to do that too. So we're going to drain what's in the fuel tank, which is very little. I need to find a container for that. See if I can rig something up here once I get it going. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But you'll never know if you don't try. I used to tell my nephews all the time, they're not going to let me do that. You'll never know if you don't ask. It has a very short fuel line on it. It makes it harder to get off because it's a short fuel line is quite a bit stiffer than a longer one. So let's see if we can try something different here. Well, move something else out of our way. That hang there. Gives us a little more room to see. Plus I can get under here and blow this out. I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to make this easier for them, so I don't have to worry about having issues throughout the season. Come on. Get off of there. Oh, for crying out loud. Golly day. That's kind of flared out, starting to swell, so I'll replace that. There we go. Since we got the top cover off, you can just slide the fuel tank right off like that. Get yourself an approved container for this. See if we can get this to pour out the top a little easier. So it looks like somebody is punched through the screen that's on the inside. Not sure if you guys can see that, but nah, you guys can't see it. But there's a little screen down there right above the outlet tube here, and somebody has took and punched right through that, thinking that it was probably plugged up. But since these things don't have the room you need for a fuel filter, because this is all the room you have right there. It's not a whole lot to put a fuel filter in there with. Even the little flat disc type. This is the fuel we got out of it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is water and trash in that. See the separation there? Water right there. Fuel and trash. So now we got that junk out of there. Now we'll take and do the same thing with the carb. There's the bottom of the carb, and that's the drain that I was telling you about. Takes a pretty good size Allen wrench. I don't think it's the actual size, but this 10 millimeter fits it pretty snug. Give that a quarter turn. Get it pulled out of there. Quite a bit more junk come out of there. And this O-ring, I mean this plug has an O-ring on it. So make sure that's in good condition. Definitely don't want no fuel leaks. It might be an interesting day for you if you did. Go ahead and pop this bottom off, just take a quick look. I want to say it's probably okay. We'll say most or all the parts on the inside of there are plastic also. Stuck on there pretty good. So yeah, it seems to look pretty good inside. No trash buildup. This O-ring around the outside here looks in good shape. So we're gonna put this back together. Remembering the orientation, because the that drain is offset, not centered. Make sure your screws aren't cross-threaded in this plastic. Just snug them up. Don't need to kill it, it's just plastic. Reinsert your plug on the bottom, your drain plug. Give that a quarter turn, you're good to go. All right, so while we're right here, we're gonna take and we're gonna blow all this down. Put your thumb over the intake. All right. Now we can put our linkages back together. I'm gonna go cut a piece of hose. We'll reuse these same clamps. There's nothing wrong with them. There we go, a new piece of hose. Put your clamps back on, kind of set them up toward the middle. Alright, where's our fuel tank? Right there. I'll just use a little bit of Dawn dish soap or any kind of dish soap to lubricate the stem here. Makes the hose go on a little bit easier so you're not fighting with it. Water soluble. And it still holds like it's supposed to. Sometimes they could be a little bit of a bear to get on there. All right. We're good to go there. All right. All right, I think we're good up there too. All right, I do have a brand new air filter for this. The old one was just infested with ants, really bad. Ants and eggs from the ants. So I took and sprayed them down with a solvent, and that killed them. And I threw them away. Because I really don't want those ants here. That is the one thing about doing this kind of stuff, is that you bring other people's grasses and weeds and things like that, and maybe ants and stuff, spiders, whatever, ends up at your place too. So like in that situation there with the ants, when I pulled that filter off, I just went and found me something that would kill them real quick and disposed of it in the trash can afterwards. Reminds me too, I need to start spraying. Once a year I spray for a pesticide for the mosquitoes and stuff. Still got some ants. And which kills everything else too. So the spiders and the other critters that might be crawling around. All right, let's put this top on. And we'll get some fuel for this thing. All right, let me get some fuel. All right, I got it fueled up. I disconnected the rope from up here, so that is down here to the motor, because I'm not taking it off of here and it's too high up there for me to try to pull it. I've got a clamp up there on the bail, and let's give her a pull and see what happens. Let's check the oil first. Oil's good, and it looks clean too. Kind of turns over easy. And we're popping. Sound like we're backfiring through the carburetor. Don't seem like we got much compression either. So let's pull this spark plug out and see how much compression we do have. So this is a good time to talk about a comment that I had gotten a few days ago on the I think it was from the Titan video, when I did the smoke test on the Titan video for the to find out where the leak was, and to find out if it was where the head gaskets had blown. And somebody kind of, why didn't you just do a compression test? So I responded back that if I did a compression test, yes, that would tell me I'd have low compression, but it wouldn't actually tell me where that was at. Whether I had an open valve or stuck valve, or whether I had bad rings or a blown head gasket. So the smoke test was able to tell me that, or a leak down test would be able to tell me that. Right now, this is pulling over really easy, and it's kind of like backfiring through the carburetor. And I just want to see if it has compression at all. And that's when the compression test would come in handy. There may even be water in the cylinder maybe. So let's pull it over and find out. pulled over almost as easy with the spark plug or without. We'll pull this over a few times and see what we got. Boy, that pulled over easy. Might have a bad stuck valve or something. Zero compression. If you guys can see there or not. And my gauge ain't perfect, so that's where my gauge always sits, and it hasn't moved. So I think we have a stuck valve. So we're going to open up this valve cover and watch the valves when I pull the rope. Or actually, I don't even need to pull the rope. I just turn the blade. This one here is really, really loose. So as you can see, this one here is moving when I move the blade. Let me get you zoomed in a bit. All right, so we got a stuck valve. It looks like a stuck exhaust valve. The lifter and push rod is actuating the rocker, but the valve is stuck. There is no tension against this where the valve is sitting against it at all. Now this one actuates pretty good. It wants to come back on its own. Yeah, that one's, I can't get it to budge. So we're going to see if we can get it broke loose. We're gonna pull the push rod out, get that out of our way. And just like we did on the Titan, we're going to mark the end of the rod. You can see a little shadow mark there. which tells me it comes out up here to the rocker, but we're going to put a mark there anyway. All right, so now we know that red mark needs to come out here towards the rocker. And then we're going to drop it in a bag. Don't really need to label it, because it's the only one we're working on. Set that off to the side. We also have to worry about the 2x4 rolling over. So on the end of these valves, you have a valve cap. You don't want to lose that. Put that in there with your push rod. And then I need to go get some wrenches so we can get that off of there, get that out of our way. We're going to attempt to see if we can get it broke loose without pulling the head off. And we'll see what happens. To 5/16 for the rocker nut. This rocker nut also has the set screw in the middle of it, and between the set screw and the rocker nut, that's how you make your adjustments to get your clearance on your valves. Okay. So these springs are pretty soft for such a small motor. It's pretty easy to pop that off of there. Larger motors, you might need the tool. And basically it's a cap and a spring. The cap has that little keyhole pattern on it. And basically you put your push rod, your valve tip right through there, through the larger part, and you just slide it up to lock it in or down. Be a good idea to have it in such an orientation that gravity would always hold it there for you. Drop those in your bag too. And we're going to try to grab it with a pair of pliers. And I know that you might say that shouldn't do that. But, on the very end of the valve here, it's no big deal for the simple fact this rides against nothing. If it was down there further, where the the valve goes through the head, that's a machine surface, so yes, you would not want to mar that up. I also got a small hammer. I'm going to zoom you guys back. Oh, maybe not. I'll leave you there. Sounds like it's moving. There we go. I'm just probably starting to get a little bit of corrosion on it between the head and the valve. Probably because it's been sitting for so long. And not much oil has gotten up there. So that moves very, very easy now. As long as that seals up, which I think it will, I think we'll be okay. So now we just do everything in reverse. Might be a little tricky to get that spring back on there. But we're going to give it a try. And we'll see what happens. There we go, we got her. We got her on the first try. It don't happen too often. Now that we got that on there, we can put our little cap on. Our little cap that we took off. The nice thing about that too is it helps keep the that retainer in place. It can't walk off as easy. Some of them don't have those, and I'll walk off sometimes under high RPMs. Alright, so trying a little trick like that saved us a bunch of time from having to tear the engine down, or the head off. And so that is one time it worked out great for us. Alright. So one way to tell if you have your push rod in the right spot, especially in this one here, such a tiny hole you can't see down in there, just set it in there and rotate it slow and see if you feel it moving in and out. If it does, you know you're in the right spot. Sounds like I got somebody's dropping off some equipment for me. I think I got to do blades. I think I do. All right, guys, I'll bring you back in a few minutes. All right, we're back. I looked up the specs for this, and it's 4 to 6 thousandths on the valves. And let me move you over here because I need to be right in front of it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get them set. I think I need to make adjustments to both of them, because this one's kind of tight, no play. This one's too loose because I had it off. And we're going to go with 4 thousandths. You're going to need your Torx wrench. And I can't read it on here, but maybe it's a T10. Yeah, because this is a T15 and it don't fit, but this one does. I'm thinking it's a T10. It's hard to read on the end here. And your 5/16 screwdriver. You're just going to make your adjustments until you start getting a little bit of drag between the feeler gauge and the rocker. This appears to me needs to be quite a bit. So right about there ought to be good. So with your wrench, you're going to hold that steady, and with your Torx, you're going to snug it up. Double check it. There we go. I got the right amount. Up here, there is no clearance. I can't get a 4/1000 through there, so it's too tight. So we're going to make some adjustments to that. All right, I think we're good there. Sage, one more check. All right, everything seems like it's working fine, like it's supposed to. All right, I finished taking the gasket off, and I backed up the back side of it, and then I backed up with the front side of it with RTV, and now we're gonna clean up here and get this thing installed. Clean this off with some sort of solvent. I didn't have any brake clean. Can't seem to keep enough of that. So I'm just using a little bit of alcohol and a paper towel, wiping that around there. That should help clean things up for you. There we go. We can hook up our gauge again, just for curiosity. Hopefully we see around 120, 125, something like that. There we go, that feels right. We're still about 85. Should be more than that, but we'll see what happens. I know it's got a compression release on it, but typically they still read a little bit better than that. With no compression, it was popping off. So we'll see what happens. Is it going to go? You think it's going to start? There we go. So we had water regas and a stuck valve, and that's how we diagnosed that, and that's how we got her going. I'll probably sharpen up the blades for them. The oil looked like it's not been too long since it's been changed. It's got a brand new air filter in it. This thing will be good to go now. So hopefully you like the content. Hopefully this will help you one day. If so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me some comments, let me know what you think. Be kind, help people when you can.